Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly live Q&A session where we sit down with you guys and we look for your questions. I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Ellithorpe, and I will convey your questions to her. Any and all health-related questions are fair game, and we look forward to interacting with you that way. So I can see we're already starting to get a little bit of activity in the chat section there. That's the best way to post your questions. You can also email your questions into us if you cannot participate in the chat on YouTube. That email address is going to be office@tlcdoctors.com. That's office@tlcdoctors.com. And just make sure that you put in the subject line something about question for YouTube Q&A. That'll make sure that the questions get routed over to us because we do get a lot of emails to that account. And also just a quick disclaimer, we want to make sure that you are not utilizing this Q&A as medical advice or as a replacement for your relationship with your physician. This is for education purposes and learning and growing together. And we're approaching these questions as if they were asked to us here in the office, to the doctor, how she might generically answer that question. But of course, we don't know you're not sitting in front of us. We can't see you, touch you. And your medical background is very important. So do make sure that you maintain a relationship with your doctor. Do follow up with the doctor and just use this as education or for further discussion with your healthcare provider. That being said, thanks for joining us. We'll get rolling here. Thank you for being here today, Dr. Ellithorpe.
Always enjoy it, Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen. One last thing is this Friday session, we'd moved from Wednesdays. We used to do this on Wednesday mornings. Dr. Ellithorpe's schedule is potentially changing, is changing right now as we have 2 of our 5 physicians out on maternity leave. So stay tuned and make sure that you're getting our emails. You can go to our website and sign up there at tlcdoctors.com. Look for the email subscription there and just put in your email address. That way you'll always be notified if we make a change to the schedule, and we'll send out reminders before we do YouTube. Mm-hmm. Probably going to move a little bit earlier on Fridays. So I'm thinking we'll keep this Q&A on Fridays, but maybe 9 o'clock going forward instead of 10 o'clock. To be determined. Make sure you're checking your emails for that. Okay, well, let's dive in with some questions, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. First question in the chat says, would you recommend sotrovimab for someone in their 80s who got COVID?
Whoops. Well, that is, I believe, Molnupiravir, which is the prescription new medicine that was put out, I believe, by Pfizer, which is a drug that is acting like an antiviral, kind of a copy off of Ivermectin.
Okay.
So that's a new prescription drug. And when we have something that received the Nobel Prize in 2015, Ivermectin, and that was recognized by the World Health Organization, if you put much stock in the World Health Organization anymore, but they recognize certain medications as very impactful for human health, for humanity. And along with hydroxychloroquine is ivermectin on that list. So it's well recognized as having great benefit for humanity. So I'm going to recommend what we know has been used for many, many years, decades, and has such a low profile for side effects, that instead of that, I would use the ivermectin. And I would get your prescription from a doctor who will take the weight and give the appropriate milligram per kilogram on either preventative twice a week dosing, and go from there. So again, let's go with what we know, what works, and has the history, such a great history for that medication, ivermectin.
Okay. And as far as an 80-year-old not knowing anything else about that person, male or female, any special considerations?
No. And again, we have over 30 years of history with ivermectin, and people have been using this of all ages, women, breastfeeding women, pregnant women. So it is such a safety record that I would feel very comfortable giving that preventatively.
Okay, got it. Okay, Robert says, why did the doctor mount her scale on the wall?
I don't
She
know.
wanted to measure lean muscle mass.
Lean muscle mass. Lean on it?
Ah.
Yeah. Robert, I always like your jokes. Yeah.
All right, I'll wait to see if we get any other questions in here. It says sotrovimab is one of the monoclonal infusions. Okay, so monoclonal
okay.
antibodies.
I see.
The
I'm
maker
sorry.
states it is capable of neutralizing Omicron, but no proof. I have ivermectin and supplements for the family.
All right. All right. Thank you for that correction. Indeed, I would say yes, the monoclonal antibodies. But didn't they put a restriction on that? I think the Biden administration limited the use of that. So I'm in favor of that if you would need it. And it seemed to have good reception and good profile for very low side effect results. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular one, but as far as the restriction goes, yeah, the call was for insurance to discontinue covering it. So a lot of these pop-up monoclonal antibody IV infusion centers kind of went belly up because they didn't. Patients aren't very willing to pay cash for it.
Okay.
Okay. The next question from Maxine says, "So grateful for you and TLC. My PCP screamed at me for 15 minutes because I'm not vaccinated and stated ivermectin doesn't work." Okay.
Oh, well, I'm so
Get
sorry.
another PCP.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. The actual facts are it does work. And there are so many studies out there, probably in the realm of maybe about 60 studies at least right now. And I would say a good 24 of these are controlled clinical trials
Right.
as well. So unfortunately, they're uninformed. You can go to the website,
FLCCC.
yeah, flccc.net, and you can download some of those studies on it. And you can go to the other one that is good is, what is the name of the other one?
The eye mask?
Yeah, the IMASC protocol has that list there. Then the American College of Physicians and Surgeons, they have all these studies listed out there. So unfortunately, there seems to be a politicalization of this, and now a bias and emotional attachment to this.
Instead of just looking at the facts.
Right. So just get a copy of that, download it, and email it to your doctor, and be friendly, be loving, and try and encourage them to open their eyes to that.
Yes. Okay, how do you get enough nutrients on 1 meal a day carnivore diet? Do you have any resources for meal plans?
Well, you have to understand that if you're on a carnivore diet, that is such a nutrient-dense food. So the minerals and vitamins, there's even vitamin C in research for meat and liver. And so if you're eating, oysters and crustaceans and beef and chicken with the skin on it and pork and fish, it is very dense nutrients. And I would never worry about mineral deficiencies because they're so jam-packed. Healthy fats are in it, and calorically, the caloric density for the fat is the highest density. There's 9 calories for every gram of fat, and there's 4 in protein and 4 in a carb. So I would not worry about the calories and the micronutrients. They're quite adequate. We do recommend that people use a digestive enzyme, especially if they're older, to help them break that down to release the nutrients. And we do recommend certain base micronutrients such as the Juice Plus series, vitamin D, and I very often will either use the TLC multimineral or the TLC Energy Core. These are multivitamin minerals as a baseline for almost everyone because of the general history of the food corruption that we've lived through, and what I find on all the studies on micronutrient assays. But remember, we were frightened away from eating eggs and eating beef and eating the butter and the cholesterol, all these foods. And we went to a largely more and more plant-based baked bread diet, and that is a much more nutrient limited. So if you've spent the past 20, 30 years eating cereals in the morning and sandwiches and rice and beans, then you switch to a carnivore diet, it'll be a blessing. In my opinion, biochemically, you'll have a much better nutrient base, but you probably still need a core nutrient to stay well with.
Can you do a carnivore diet safely without organ meat if the taste is intolerable?
Yeah, yes, you can. You don't have to have the organ meat. I like liver though. I make it when I have it with onions, so I'm not a pure carnivore, and I do put bacon with it, and I think it tastes delicious. So.
Okay. Does NT factor increase cholesterol?
No, not at all. The diet cholesterol, you have to understand when a cell is injured. Remember this plant picture the cell wall picture. Here is an injury to the cell membrane, and here is a repaired bilipid double layer. And when a free radical damage or injury comes through, these little fragments, these fragments spit out from the injury site, and they're picked up in the lymphatic system, and then it travels throughout the body, informing the body that you've been hurt. Maybe you have a tonsillitis starting, or maybe you have a sprained knee, or maybe you have a new bronchitis starting. So those injured cells are sending out signals, we're hurt. And that tells the liver that since we're made up of fat and protein, we will generate more cholesterol out of the liver, trying to find those cells to repair them, to reconstruct, this damaged area. So eating cholesterol is never the cause for raising cholesterol. It's always cell injury. Now, what causes the most cell injury in our country? Eating the high carbohydrate standard American diet that's processed, calorically high in carbs and nutriently deficient. And so the cell membranes are injured more easily. You get sick more easily. And so the liver will start producing more and more cholesterol just to make up for that. That's why, I have people coming in here on plant-based diets and they have high cholesterols, but they have inflammation markers showing cell injury, like their sedimentation rate or their HSCRP, or they have gut lining breakdown because they're not taking in the fat and protein that they need for cell repair.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that answer and that question. Is bacon grease a good fat to cook with regularly?
Yes. Yeah. It's a saturated fat. So it's neither going to harm you or be it isn't a nutrient fat. These are saturated fats. They are designed for like cholesterol. Cholesterol is a different kind of a fat. It's a circular kind of, if you want to think of it in circles, and it creates structural fluidity of the cell membrane. So the fats that are in the bacon fat are not going to be hydrogenated. They're not going to crack. They're not going to become trans fatty acid, and they will not be then picked up as a damaged irritant to your cell membranes. So I have my jar of bacon grease at my stovetop that I can take a scoop out whenever I want.
Okay.
But usually I cook with butter, is what I usually cook with.
Okay. One meat a day. Can you eat salmon today and cod tomorrow? Green lettuce today and iceberg lettuce tomorrow for every 4 days rotation?
Yes, absolutely. So just so long as it's not the same salmon every day, chicken every day. And yes, you can rotate it that way. I think there's less stress over the lettuces, whether it's iceberg lettuce, spinach, romaine, arugula.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you need to worry so much about that, because as your stomach heals with the wonderful fats and nutrients that are in your beef, your chicken, your fish, your turkey, your pork, your eggs, your crustaceans, then the lettuce and the plant component will have far less capacity to leak through your gut and damage you. When I see lettuce on the immunofood allergy, that really is a general term to me over the decades that this person just has a good amount of leaky gut and they need to work on healing it. And we're made of protein and fat. There's no starch here at all. So you've got to eat the protein and fat to repair.
Okay. Great. So Lee asks, can you use IGG Protect instead of SBI Protect? Those are obviously two different, but they have some crossover, the IG Protect versus the SBI Protect.
I know SBI Protect very well. Just like I misinterpreted that monoclonal antibody with the new thing they came out with as the copycat for Ivermectin, I'm not familiar with IGG Protect.
I know that we carry it. There it is right there in the middle shelf, the purple label, IG Protect, and I have your SBI Protect here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So this has the SBI Protect is just the serum derived bovine immunoglobulin concentrate. So you get your immunoglobulins. The IG Protect is has the colostrum concentrate. So this is the milk based, or this is the serum based, and that also has lactoferrin in it.
Yeah. So these are not the same thing. All right. Okay. If I want to repair the gut, I want to go with the SBI powder. If I want to help with lactoferrin and secretory IgA, I use IgG Protect. And so that's why if you do the complete digestive stool analysis and I get the secretory IgA and I see it low, then I go for lactoferrin, which is in the IgG Protect with colostrum. This powder here is largely designed for a injured gut that is immune challenged, and this provides a rest for the immune stress of a leaky gut. Whereas IGG Protect is basically a down the road evaluation, which is kind of like there are stages to healing. That's how I handle them. But I use a lot more of this than I do the IGG.
Got it. Okay. What do you think about cooking with ghee, organic and grass-fed?
Yeah, that's from butter, so that's just fine.
Butter with the milk solids
removed. Yeah. So yeah, that's a nice saturated fat, and the heat when you're cooking will not harm the fats and crack them and hydrogenate and trans fatty acid damage them. So it's very fine to use that.
Yeah. How good is cilantro for inflammation, and can you take it as a pill?
Cilantro has always been used primarily as something that chelates out heavy metal and toxins like that. Yes, you can take it as a pill, as a concentrate, but where are the studies? So when you're asking something like this, I have to come from a point of, do I have enough clinical data to talk about? Do I have scientific papers in it? And the answer is, I really have never needed cilantro to make any major improvement or detox anyone in any significant amount. So I don't pay much attention to it because I have not seen any data come up or articles in the scientific community on it that are, groundbreaking and earth-shattering to use it.
Okay. I'm going to hop over to a couple questions that were emailed into us. The first one comes to us from Lisa, and Lisa says, what does Dr. Althorpe recommend for battling vertigo?
Well, vertigo usually shows up in the 5th or 6th, 7th, 8th decades of life. So as you get older, you get dried out. As you get dried out, there are 3 loops of Helene. These are in your inner ear, and these are tubes. One is in this plane, one is in the longitude, kind of lateral, and then one is in the vertical. So if you tilt your head one way, the fluid in them starts rolling, and it touches little hairs in those tubes to send back to your brain a spatial information that you're moving your head. that you're leaning forward, that you're leaning back. So if you don't drink enough water, if you gum everything up with sugar, if you have a leaky gut and a lot of food allergy immune complexes floating through your blood and clogging it up, those little loops of Helene can't get their cleaner, can't get their turnaround, you might say, of their serum cleaning and nutrients to restore them. And there are little otoliths crystals that if the hairs are in this tubule and a little crystal, it'll kind of play the tune, you might say, of the hairs. So the little otoliths will crystallize and hit the tubes, the hairs, and send you the information back. So you have to be hydrated. So I usually tell people with vertigo to fast for 2 days and go on a clear liquid diet, just chicken broth or beef broth. And you can mix some water with ginger ale, 50-50, to get the fizz out, and not eat anything. And this will force you to drink a lot of fluids and water. That hydration helps. Plus, what dries you out also are usually seasonal allergies. Allergies tend to congest us and clog us up, and we get the mast cell degranulation seasonally. This clogs things up and inflames us, and that will promote the stickiness of the flow of those loops of Helene. Another thing we ask them to do is take a lot of enzymes like Vitalzyme or Proteozyme or Vascuzyme, especially when they're on a clear liquid diet, taking that 2 or 3 times a day on an empty stomach, a clear liquid diet. That tends to help clean away any sticky debris. And of course, you're really getting all the sugar out of your diet, except for a little bit in that ginger ale, and if you can do it with water, like do a water fast like I do with black coffee, all the better, okay? And then antihistamines, Dehist is a natural antihistamine that we use to help. If you go to the doctor, they kind of force the fluid, so they throw you in a Barney chair forward and back and to the right and to the left. So if you sat on your couch or you're on your bed and you made yourself go through these moments, it'll maybe stimulate you, make you nauseous, but it'll help to start getting the flow going as well. And most doctors will give at the urgent care or emergency room a medication called Antivert. And all that is hydroxyzine, which is a strong antihistamine. So we're taking natural antihistamines. We're going on a clear liquid diet so we don't inflame ourselves with food allergies. We're taking enzymes to clean away the inflammation, and we're taking enzymes to clean away any debris. That always has worked for me. Sometimes I send them into the IV suite to improve microcirculation, and including the loops of Helene with the EDTA chelation. That helps clear things up quickly.
Okay. Great. Very thorough answer. Can you educate us about the brown spots on the back of hands and how to prevent or treat them?
That's lipofuscin. Brown spots on the backs of hands is an aging phenomena. These are fats in your body that have been oxidized. That's why I don't want to cook with olive oil or avocado oil or monounsaturated fats or polyunsaturated fats because they will create these burnt fats. It'll get damaged and taken into my body. That creates oxidative stress, and the skin is a dump site for toxins. It's one of the ways and areas where the body will start throwing off toxins. And so when you see these things starting to show up, it just shows age, free radical damage, oxidative stress. And so if you take like Juice Plus, that antioxidant, drink your water, exercise so you improve your microcirculation, probably do some chelation, take your enzymes, use your natural hormones. All these things tend to slow aging and will reduce all this aged change.
Okay. Thanks for those questions, Lisa. Ophelia asks, what is the reason for avoiding nitrous oxide in anesthesia if one has the MTHFR gene?
I'm not sure if I am informed enough on that to give an answer.
Okay.
Nitric oxide helps vasodilate. it's critical. So it's a powerful, it got the Nobel Prize, I think, in 96 or something. Anyway, so nitric oxide is a vasodilator. Anesthesia is really using a fast-acting hypnotic opioid-based narcotic that knocks you out, that they bring you back from with reversal medicine. So I don't know that nitric oxide is in anesthesia.
Well, that's like laughing gas, and that's usually when they're not knocking you out fully; they're just sort of sedating you.
So in a dental office.
Right.
And what's the question?
Avoiding it in anesthesia if one has the MTHFR gene.
I'm not connected with that. The methotetrahydrofolate is a SNP in your DNA genome, that if you do have these abnormalities in that gene, you don't methylate as well. If you don't methylate as well, you have a whole host of problems. It's like packaging. You think of methylation as packaging. So let's say you have something in your kitchen and you want to package it, so you put it in a baggie, or you put it in a Tupperware with a top on it. So it's reusable. You can handle it at a later date. So methylating things kind of tag molecules in the human body so they don't mold or corrode or spill or leak everywhere. And in that sense, methylation helps prevent cancer. Methylation helps prevent endothelial damage and cardiovascular disease. So when you package things well and properly, and but I don't really see how nitric oxide will challenge that. I'm going to have to take a note and look at that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because I don't know the connection she's talking about.
Okay.
And anesthesia.
So we'll look into that, Ophelia, and that's interesting. I also have never heard anything about nitrous oxide and the MTHFR gene. Her follow-up question says, hematocrit of 44 is a bit high. What could this mean? And homocysteine 12.3 also high. What can be taken to improve levels?
Well, on a woman, a 44 is still, not of any big concern. I would first think she's not drinking enough water.
Okay.
That's the most common thing. And we age and we need water. We're made mostly of water. So if you're a 150-pound woman, I would say about 90 pounds of that is water. And so you need your water. So number one, water. The homocysteine elevation is showing that your body needs more B vitamins. So we have that TLC methylated B complex.
Yes.
There's that methyl again. Trimethyl glycine, SAMe, S-adenosyl methionine, all these things promote this methylation. And homocysteine is a waste product. It's one of those things that have to be put in a bag or put in a Tupperware. And so you need the TLC methyl B complex with homocysteine like that. Now, I normally put people on Juice Plus because the Journal of Cardiology, of all things, research has been done on Juice Plus, one of them on homocysteine, cardiovascular health, and it was proven in peer-reviewed science to lower the homocysteine because there's tons of stuff in the fruit, vegetables, and berries that help methylate and slow DNA damage. Yay, there's even articles on Juice Plus that show reduction in DNA damage. What other nutraceutical out there is showing peer-reviewed research in university labs that reduces DNA damage?
Right.
I don't know of any. So if I'm going to say, am I going to take a B complex or am I going to take Juice Plus? I'm going to go with Juice Plus. But the science is also behind, and then our clinical studies on TLC methyl B complex.
Mm-hmm. Great. And last one is more of a suggestion from Christina. She says, a suggestion for YouTube. Dr. E used to share more articles that she found interesting. There hasn't been much time for that in the last few weeks' sessions. Could she possibly start going over a few prior to taking questions?
Yes, I can. But, I've had some YouTubes deleted, and I've had some problems with these surveillance bots and fact checkers. And when I bring up these controversial articles, that's when we start having trouble. So unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and I will try and do that.
Yeah, keep your eyes open if you see. I know you're always deep in studies and research news that's coming out in the health field, and perhaps it's just something you can make some comments on, and we'll risk, having a video taken down, I suppose.
Yeah.
Monday evenings are probably the best for that, since you tend to take a little bit more relaxed, laid back time.
Yeah.
Where the Friday sessions, in fact, we're a little overtime right now. We only have about a half an hour.
Well, one thing I'm digging my eyes into is the release of the 55,000 pages on the Pfizer FDA application
But they wanted
paperwork.
sealed for
75 years they wanted to hide this in. And so that's a tell for deceit. Anyway, so they've released 55,000 of the 350,000 or something like that. And there's a whole team of us looking at this right now. There's maybe 900 plus people looking into this, and I am too. There are not many doctors doing it because we're so busy. And now with 2 doctors going out on maternity leave, everyone has to understand the volume of work that we have here is incredible.
Right.
But I am looking into that. Lancet just came out a couple of days ago with another fluff article, which is, really a poorly written. I have never seen such poor science in articles like Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, and the retractions that I've seen over the past few years. It just tells you that our humanity, our bias gets into our work, and that should not be in science. And that's why it's supposed to be open discussion rather than fear of someone chopping me off or closing off one of my YouTubes and so forth. No, I have never seen such ridiculous criticisms of the management of the pandemic and references. I'll pull that article up and bring it up. I'm exhausted. It's a waste of my time to see this foolishness going on and published in the Lancet. I can't believe it. Well, be sure to know that I'm out there every day studying. That's about all I do. Exercise. I just got back from my workout this morning, 3 times a week, and I'm on about a one a day meal now. I am mostly carnivore, but I do have some. I'm not a pure carnivore, but largely carnivore, and that's all you can do. And I thank God for my faith. It gives me my peace, and it just helps me to go about my day. I'm here to be of service. I don't need to worry about myself that much, and that helps my immune system, I think, so.
All right, well, we're just about out of time, but a couple things I want to leave you all with. We're here right now on Fridays, and we started at 10. That time might be shifting, so as I said earlier at the beginning, make sure that you're signed up for our email newsletter that goes out always before we do YouTubes, and we'll let you know if the schedule changes there. Our website is tlcdoctors.com, so you can go subscribe there if you're not already. If you found today's video helpful, if you're enjoying this, you can give us feedback and help the channel out, help spread the word by clicking the thumbs up, the like button, and even better, subscribe to it if you're logged into YouTube, and that way you'll be notified if and when new videos come out. We have a whole slew of exciting things coming this year. We're planning a whole lot of stuff, including some more produced videos on specific subjects, so you definitely won't want to miss those. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I know there were a couple questions in the chat that came through towards the end that we didn't have time for. Dr. Elthorpe will be back Monday at her scheduled 6 o'clock Monday evening time. Log in early and go ahead and start posting your questions there. That way you'll be first up in line, and we try to hit those in order. So we'll get your questions answered then. Otherwise, I'll be back, and I'll see you here next Friday. Okay, everybody. Till we see you next time, God bless and be well.
God bless.